Bitcoin just fell below $72,000 and most of the crypto market is red today. So Bitcoin is moving exactly how I predicted. We saw the rising channel start on the 7th of February all the way up to the 200-day moving average. And then we saw the rejection on the 11th of May. And then we saw a second rejection on the 14th of May before a deeper decline. So you can pretty much ignore all the oil news. You can ignore the US and Iran news. Technically, we've done exactly what was predicted. We've seen a rejection come together, and now we're looking at the 100 moving average to save us around $73,000. And as I'm speaking, the price is just dipped below. So if we do lose $73,000, we could be losing the bottom of the rising channel and dipping straight back down to the 2026 low priced around $60,000. However, there was one coin which just hit a brand new all-time high at $74.60. So that's Hyperliquid, which is hype, and it's up roughly 76% on a month while everything else bleeds. So I've been trading crypto for about 11 years and I've learned to spot there's a 𝗧𝗥 setup, a coin that doesn't care about the rest of the market because the fundamentals are just too strong. So 4 things in this video. 1, why hype is decoupling from the rest of the market. 2, the institutional money piling in, which is Goldman Sachs, Grayscale, ETFs. 3, why this isn't a crowded trade that everyone thinks it is. And 4, the token unlock is on Friday and whether that actually matters to the price. So let's start with what decoupling actually means, because most people use the word in a wrong sense. Decoupling isn't when a coin goes up and Bitcoin goes down, it's when it goes up for different reasons. And right now hype is going up for a reason that coins don't have, which is revenue. Most crypto runs on hope, hope of adoption, hope of partnerships, hope of a new narrative pump in the market. Hype runs on fees. Real fees every single day by real traders. 98% of those fees buy back hype, roughly $1.9 million every single day, which is absolutely wild because it means the more revenue they make, the more buybacks on the market, the higher the price goes. Here's a bit what nobody else on the timeline is covering. In the last 30 days, we've had 3 major things happen. We've had Goldman Sachs file a 13F showing a position in Hyperliquid strategies, which is incredibly bullish. We've had Grayscale is negotiating $115 million hype fund, again, incredibly bullish. And then we've had the spot hype ETFs that took in $130 million with 0 outflows. So Bitcoin ETFs bled $4 billion in that same window, and hype bled absolutely nothing. So where is the money going? It's going out of Bitcoin and into hype. And on top of all of that, hype just flipped Dogecoin in market cap and is now a top 10 coin. So every time I post about hype, I always get the same comments come back. Am I early? When will it stop coming back? Should I enter now? Is the trade now overcrowded? So let's look at the data. On-chain wallets holding 10 hype or more, there are only a few thousand of them. So 10 hype at $72 a coin, that's only $720. And there's only a few thousand wallets globally holding 10 hype, which is incredibly early. Most people aren't in this trade because they're scared of it, because they've just seen it run from $20 to $70 and now they're sat on the sidelines. In 11 years of trading, this is a pattern I've learned to trust the most. When the coin is pushing up, but the narrative is we're no longer early. And looking at the data and find out there's only a few thousand holding 10 coins or more, that's a gap of opportunity that we're all searching for. So now the honest part, because we're in crypto and things do go wrong and tokens do get unlocked. This Friday, which is June the 6th, there's a hype token unlock, which is roughly 2.5% of the total supply, which is around 9.9 million tokens, and it's worth roughly $680 million. Like I said, it's around 2.5% of the supply, so I think it's wise to expect to drop going into the weekend at the very least. But looking back at every other token unlock over the last few months, the buybacks, which, like I mentioned earlier in the video from the revenue, is covered all of the supply within a couple of days. But like I mentioned, we could see mid-60s, low 60s, especially if that sell pressure starts hitting the liquidations. Where would I admit that the trade went wrong if you ended here is if we lost the $50 mark. So if we lost $50 support, especially closing on the daily or the weekly, that's definitely an area which you have to start questioning, are we going into a deeper bear trend again? that's likely to happen if Bitcoin loses a 70k support. So when Bitcoin got rejected at $82,000 at the start of this month, I mentioned that there was going to be a huge opportunity for a short around $78,000, $79,000. So that's what we took. However, to now lose the ascending channel, and we've now lost the only uptrend we've had since the start of this year, you have to be, doesn't matter how bullish you are on the future. I'm incredibly bullish. I think we're going to see Bitcoin hit $1 million over the next 5 to 10 years. You have to realize and understand that we are going to see short-term weakness. And for all you technical traders out there, we've just completed a head and shoulders on the intraday, and the target sits around $61,000. That's a $10,000 drop from where we are at the moment. And if that fails, we've got to be looking at $50,000, $55,000. And again, that's not me being bearish. That's just being prepared for more weakness going into the market. Maybe from the geopolitical point today, we've had Iran mention about closing the straits for longer with no more negotiations with the US. Maybe that's coming into it. But I mean, looking at the stock market now, yeah, we've had a slight pullback across the board. But fundamentally, Bitcoin has looked weak for the last couple of months. Yeah, we've just completed a relief rally, but right now we need to be sitting on $70,000, and we need to hold that as support if you want any chance of going up over the next couple of weeks. If you're sitting on cash, say 20%, 30%, 40% of your portfolio, for me, I'm sat on around 40% of my portfolio in cash. I'm not tempted to buy at the moment. I'm still looking at Ethereum around $1,400, $1,500 over the next couple of months. That hasn't changed since the start of this year. I'm looking at Bitcoin hitting 45,000, 40,000 over the next couple of months. And again, that hasn't changed, or nothing's really changed my mind to think we're not going to see a summer low. Technically, it looks weak. Fundamentally, it looks awful. Well, we're now mentioning rate hikes later this year, and we started the year with a planned 2 or 3 rate cuts. Inflation started going up. Rate hikes are now back on the table, and it doesn't matter if Kevin Washington or Jerome Powell's in charge. They can't fix an economy that quickly. They can't fix it to pump your risk on assets. Sure, AI in the stock market is booming, and it is. But there's a reason for that. There's a narrative behind it. If you look at 80% of the stock market, it's still currently flat or going lower. We're not in a massive bull market. AI is, and we're seeing out of some certain tokens. We've got VVV, which is pumping. We had Tau, which is slightly pumping. We've had AI coins pump, but we're still in a deep bear market, and we're continuing to be there for the foreseeable. So the quicker you realise that, the safer your portfolio will be. The more you can preserve your cash for a deeper buy. And again, this is just what I've learned from the last 11 years of trading crypto. There is 0 point being biased to your bags. So we're touch and go on Bitcoin. Again, like I mentioned on Twitter earlier today, if we are to lose $70,000 support, the next target is unfortunately around 61,000, which is this year's low. So to answer the questions, would I buy Hype now at $72? Potentially leave it on the table for a couple of hours, a couple of days, and see how it performs around the $70 support. If that holds and we start to see it run back towards all-time highs at $74, I don't see why an entry around $74, $75 to hit the target of $90, $100 over the next couple of weeks would be, I think it would work out quite well. If we are to see, like I just mentioned about the supply unlock, and we see weakness going into the weekend, and we see Bitcoin lose the 70k support, then we get offered around $55, $60 hype tokens. I think it'll be a good swing trade, but just make sure you're holding that stop loss under 50 quite strictly. For the long term, if Bitcoin does capitulate and we drop down to $60,000, $55,000, maybe even $50,000 late summer, I think Hype will be getting offered around $35, $40 again. And if that's the case, I think by the end of this year, we're going to be moving back up anyway. I think it'll be an amazing opportunity going into the long-term future. Now, I'm not telling you to go and buy Hype. I'm telling you what I see and what I'm doing. And if this is kind of the analysis you want, calm, real numbers, unbiased opinions, hit subscribe. That's all I ever ask. It's not financial advice. This is my own analysis. Do your own research, and I'll see you tomorrow.